Well, emotions are a guide for action, but when our emotions are confused by trauma, by not being safe, by our back brain being activated, then the action that we take is to avoid risk and avoid danger. And so that question, what would I do if I were actually safe, or what would I do if it were okay? I think that's such a key question and such a key concept that we validate feelings, that we say, well, what is it that I'm feeling? But we don't assume that the feelings are reflecting reality. We feel them and explore them and we're curious about them. But then we go on this process of saying, okay, so I'm feeling like I'm an idiot and that I've made a mess of things. I'm feeling embarrassed and I'm feeling ashamed. But what is the reality of this? And I think so much of the work in recovering from trauma is the reality check all the time, away from, I'm having a flashback and it feels like I'm being abused all over again. But the reality check of that is I'm not being abused again. I'm in a situation that's got lots of reminders of it. But the reality is that actually here, right now, I'm okay. And so our transferential fears can be, I'm going to be criticized, I'm going to be judged, I'm going to be thrown out, I'm going to be humiliated. And it's stopping and it's kind of going, okay, that's the feelings that I'm having. But ultimately, those feelings are coming from an internal working model based on that's what my mother was like towards me, or, particularly in my life, that was true. And so I'm expecting that to be the case, and everything I'm experiencing, I'm colouring through the lens of that voice and that shame gremlin that sits on my shoulder. Whereas actually the reality is that, I think I am fairly safe here. And that's what so much of the work with emotions involves, of identifying the feelings, feeling the feelings rather than suppressing them, numbing them, ignoring them, avoiding them. But having identified them, then seeing where are these feelings coming from. That's the work that you do so delicately with clients, of validating, accepting the feelings and then challenging the reality of them. As there's the element which I think is true in so much of life, is that no one's really noticing that much anyway. Most people are thinking about their own contribution, not other people's. We're very harsh to ourselves and we tend to be very generous towards other people. So we place an awful lot of emphasis on ourselves and fear the judgment of others, when actually that's not very likely to be the case. And that's the work that you do with your clients, helping them to come to terms with it. So being able to see your own process in that and having your own strategies for it helps not just you, but it helps you to articulate that with your clients as well. So pushing yourselves, as long as it's not to the point of overwhelm and as long as it's not to the point of, causing you to really lose the plot on it. Safe challenge is what you need to be doing all the time as therapists, because it's what you're asking your clients to do all the time. And so there's something for me that's very honest and congruent about that working with therapists who I know are in their own process themselves, who are pushing themselves, and being able to see that going on, even if they're not self-disclosing, but you see the process, you see their confidence growing over time, you see them being able to stay in the green zone more. That's not just reassuring as a client, but it's inspiring as a client as well. Because I think what's very difficult as a client is sitting with a therapist who self-discloses their shame gremlins, self-discloses their struggles, and basically self-discloses that they're not doing anything about it. And I think, hang on a minute, I'm here in therapy, you're challenging me to deal with my shame and to deal with my issues, but you're not on that path yourself. And it's not that you need to be on the path at the finish line. I think there's just an honesty and a congruence to say, I won't ask my clients to walk a path that I'm not willing to walk myself. I might be walking it slowly, I might be crawling it on hands and knees, I might be going really slowly, but I am honest enough to say I'm only going to ask clients to do what I'm willing to do myself as well.